If you ever asked me who my favorite rapper was, I probably answered Kid Cudi. I knew who Kid Cudi was because of Midnight Club Los Angeles, and for a while I actually called him Kid Cudi. Through Kid Cudi, I got into rap, I got into music in general, I got into listening to albums. When I first got into Photoshop, I remember one of my first edits being a Kid Cudi wallpaper, and when I took this channel in the direction that it is now, where it's video essays about music, Kid Cudi was the first video that I thought of doing. In fact, my first 3 videos when I headed in this direction were all about Kid Cudi and the Man on the Moon album. However, when I found out yesterday that Kid Cudi would announce his retirement, I didn't feel sad. And in fact, I don't think anybody should feel sad that he's retiring, because I think it's a good thing. A couple months ago, I had a friend that told me Kid Cudi is basic and overhyped. And I remember thinking, overhyped? Really? Like, everybody hates Kid Cudi right now. And it really has been a weird career trajectory for Kid Cudi. He ended the 2000s looking like he was about to be the next star of hip hop, but by the mid 2010s he was just considered a mad scientist that never got experiments right, and people laughed him out the building with Speeding Bullet to Heaven. However, around 2016 it seemed like the new batch of artists were the artists that Kid Cudi had inspired. The kids that listened to Man on the Moon 1 and Man on the Moon 2, but now were ready to go out there and perform. And it seemed like Kid Cudi was starting to gain more respect as a result, especially when kids see Ghost drop. People consider it a great album even to this day, and it definitely fulfilled the redemption arc that Kid Cudi was heading in. By the time 2020 rolled around, he held one of the most anticipated albums in all of hip hop, and with the release of Man on the Moon 3, Kid Cudi really did receive a lot of hype. It really did feel like a new generation of fans finally started to get onto the Kid Cudi wave. For me, it was extremely special because I wouldn't have to say my favorite artist is Kid Cudi, and then the other person would go like, who is that? And I would be like, do you know Day and Night? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I know Day and Night. But it was finally becoming like, yeah, we know who Kid Cudi is. Although Kid Cudi wouldn't release an album in 2021, he still kept that respect. One of the highlights of Certified Lover Boy and Donda was Kid Cudi's features, which I think everybody enjoys, especially Moon. So it was sad to see heading into 2022 that the love for Kid Cudi would essentially die. Kanye and Pete Davidson started beefing, and Kid Cudi just kind of fell in the crossfire. This led to a lot of Kanye fans starting to hate on Kid Cudi and inserting themselves into what really is a beef that nobody knows about. Mid Cudi has gone trending a couple times ever since then. There was this incident where people started throwing water bottles at Kid Cudi's face. It really does feel like the Kid Cudi disrespect has reached a whole new level. In September of 2022, Kid Cudi would release Intergalactic. It was an album, sure, but more importantly, it was a Netflix series. It's styled in the same way as Into the Spider-Verse, and it seems like Kid Cudi really cared about this project. But alongside this project came an announcement from Kid Cudi.
You know, the Kid Cudi stuff, I think I kind of want to put it on the back burner and kind of chill out with that.
Yep.
You know, I think I kind of want to be done with it.
And me personally, I think that's the right move. First, I want to break it down from a non-music side of things, because I think that's probably the most important thing for Kid Cudi, because he does bring up that he wants to spend more time with his daughter, and I think that's the right move. There is no reason for me to sit here and tell you, no, Kid Cudi should not be with his daughter. Like, that just sounds stupid to me. So I don't think anybody should fault Kid Cudi for stepping aside from hip-hop to be with his daughter. Now let's talk about the music side of things, because I also agree with it. And although I understand what he's saying, music retirements are a bit weird. Like, this isn't the first time Kid Cudi has announced a retirement. Like, he was seriously planning on retiring back in like 2010. And even outside of Kid Cudi, rappers aren't necessarily known for being like the retirement type. Most famous example being Jay-Z. He was really supposed to retire back in like 2003. And he's still not retired. Another thing about this Kid Cudi retirement is that it really seems like he's not saying I'm retiring from ever making music. He's just saying he's taking a break. Like, his exact words are, I want to chill out on that. He also brings up that he's more so not in the mood to make another album and tour it, which I get because touring seems very tiring. But let's assume this is Kid Cudi saying I'm done and I am never coming back again. I think that's the right move because a lot of music is storytelling. If you follow the albums of an artist throughout their career, they really start to tell a story of what point the artist is in their life. For example, an artist like Kanye, Tyler the Creator, or a Frank Ocean, the albums that they make are very personal to them. So when you're listening to their stories, you also listen to the story that's going on in their life. Kid Cudi is the same way. When you listen to Man on the Moon 1, you get a good idea of how Kid Cudi was brought up, how he feels about life, his morality, his philosophies, what he struggles with, and what his goals are. And when you head to Man on the Moon 2, you see the tone shift. An album that's initially very high beat, high energy, and then turns into one of the darkest albums that I've heard personally. And that's supposed to reflect how Fame is cool at the beginning, but then it turns dark real quick. And Man on the Moon 3 was able to show Kid Cudi overcoming those pressures and everything that comes with being famous. When you listen to a Speeding Bullet to Heaven, you know that whoever was making that album was definitely going through it. But when you listen to Kids See Ghosts, you listen to these rappers that are happy that they've overcome their mental struggles. So it's clear that the storytelling perspective is something very important to Kid Cudi. And when you look at Kid Cudi albums and his old discography, you realize that there is no place for Cudi to go now. This isn't necessarily a criticism towards Kid Cudi, but when I was looking at it, I really felt like, what story can Kid Cudi tell? It really feels like up to this point in his life, Kid Cudi has told everything that really needs to be told. I'm sure there's some things that we don't know about Cudi, obviously, but my overall point is more so that Kid Cudi has nothing left to prove. His legacy is basically cemented in hip-hop, and there's no real purpose for a new Kid Cudi album. And I felt like that was reflected in Intergalactic. When you listen to the album as just an album, just the songs, when you listen to the lyrics at least, it really feels like Kid Cudi has nothing to say anymore. That for me personally is where the album failed. I think the sounds of the album are pretty cool, however. And I feel like Kid Cudi probably realized this, and that's kind of why he's saying like, yo, I'm stepping back with this Kid Cudi stuff. And that's where I feel like a lot of rappers fail. They don't know when to call it quits. Especially a rapper like, let's say, Eminem. He should have called it quits a long time ago, and he's still rapping, and it's like, dog, just hang it up. Like, sure, some of the songs are cool, he's Eminem, but it really feels like he's rapping about nothing. Now, let me say that if Kid Cudi were to really retire, we never get any music from Kid Cudi ever again, I will be a little sad, but I think it's understandable. For me, it's kind of like when D-Wade retired. I'm a Heat fan, so I didn't want to see him go, but letting go of these things can actually be kind of healthy. Also, by the way, this isn't to say that Kid Cudi can't make good music, because he has. Stars in the Sky is one of my favorite songs this year, and I be singing and dancing along to it because it's really a cool song, but I can't expect Kid Cudi to be making Stars in the Sky 18 times and release an album. So I say all of this to say that Kid Cudi is retiring, and it's okay. Shout out to Kid Cudi. Shout out to Jay Dilla, of course. I'll let the outro roll, and yeah.